What's going on, guys? Welcome back. And I'm saying that to myself because it's been a minute since I've been on here posting any long form content outside of our podcast episodes. I've been posting a lot of YouTube shorts, but this is the first time in a long time that I've done a full workout vlog. And I plan to, this is the plan, I hope to do one a month moving forward. So if you're newer to the channel, welcome. Glad you're here. If you're not, hit the subscribe button. We're gonna break down today. I'm going to attempt to break down and document my push day, which is the first push day in my new series, in my new split, in my new program, in the Lateral app, which you can try completely free. If you hit that link in my bio, you can try it out. Guided workouts and a whole bunch of other stuff. But today I'm gonna break down exactly what I'm doing on my shoulder focused push day, which is day one, push A in the split. Now I got a late start this morning. I took a little melatonin last night. I was having trouble sleeping recently, and I think it did more than the trick. So I'm feeling a little groggy. So hopefully between my pre-workout meal and the caffeine in my pre-workout, that's gonna wake me up for the session today. Also, maybe I just need to take a page out of Joe Rogan's book and just stare at the sun. Maybe that would help wake me up. I'm just kidding, don't do that, don't stare at the sun. All right, I'm gonna cook up this pre-workout meal, and again, I'm running behind, I'm feeling kind of lazy today. So it's gonna be an easy meal, and that's gonna look like some oatmeal with some peanut butter in it and a banana. I also like to throw some monk fruit sweetener in my oatmeal, combine that with a protein shake, and that's gonna be it. Now, you could combine all of those ingredients into a shake if you were really on the go. But listen, if you're not having a pre-workout meal and you need to have it 60 to 90 minutes prior to your training session, if you are not doing that, you are missing out. Because the carbs in that meal are going to be what gives you energy and what gives you intensity. Your energy is going to fuel the intensity, and we know that intensity and proximity to failure is key in us building muscle. And that's all going to work towards you having the most energy possible when you train. All right, I'm going to grab some food and hopefully wake up. I'll see you at the gym. Okay, here we are, made it to the gym. I did get my pre-workout meal in. I did consume my pre, and so hopefully the caffeine starts kicking in right when I start my first working set. And again, this is my shoulder-focused push day, the first push day in the new series, in the new program. I'm at a new gym that I started going to recently in West Nashville, just opened. And this is sort of like the private side of that gym, which is really helpful for me because I have social anxiety, and whenever I go to film in a public gym, it attacks me. The anxiety does, not people. But anyway, I'll basically pay any price tag to work out in a space that doesn't involve me like getting in people's way or feeling like I'm in people's way when I'm filming. So this is really nice. All right, so I'm gonna start warming up my shoulders with a band, doing some external rotations, stepping into that band. This is I don't remember what the level band this is, what weight, resistance, I don't know how to classify this band. That's what I'm struggling to do right now. But this is a band from Gym Reapers. Came in a pack. I think you can just buy this individual band, but if you're not warming up your shoulders before any heavy pressing movements, you should probably consider it. I'm gonna start with some pull-throughs and then do some external rotation on my left and right side, followed by just a couple warm-up sets here as I pyramid up in weight with just a couple reps for each of those sets. The goal isn't to fatigue yourself. You should try to avoid fatiguing yourself with any warm-up sets that you do. The whole point is just to get used to that heavier weight, try to really get the form down, get your mind right. All right, so you can see I'm standing in front of the Smith machine. I'm gonna use that today for an overhead press. I don't always do that. In fact, I rarely do this, but the lighting looked good right at that Smith machine, so it's definitely a valid and effective overhead press option. But I will say this, if you're gonna do this movement at the Smith machine, make sure the bench isn't completely upright at 90 degrees. We wanna be back 1 or 2 notches from completely upright. So when you're performing these, you wanna make sure that your elbow stays slightly in front of your shoulder. Now, I'm not able to get it tucked in more than that because of the bar. But if you're gonna do these with dumbbells, which is a valid option, make sure your elbows stay a little bit more tucked in as opposed to flared out completely. At this point, I'm regretting cropping the tee. A little too much mid-drift here. Also, that tee is like an exclusive one-off that I got at the grand opening of ASRV in New York City. But I'm just gonna push that regret down and ignore it and pretend like I don't regret it at all. This Smith machine overhead press, AKA, your anterior delt press, is gonna hit mostly your front delts. Front delts, anterior delts, those are the same thing. They're interchangeable. So you're going to mostly hit your front delts with this movement, but your side delts are still pretty active. All right, I hit 3 sets here in the 6 to 9 rep range. The goal was to leave maybe 1 rep left in the tank for those working sets. Moving to another shoulder movement here on the shoulder focused push day. This next one, the chest supported Y raise. This is going to hit your side delts, and it's going to do that in a more shortened position. So depending on the bench height, like some benches are taller and longer than others. Longer if they're flat, taller if they're completely upright. You guys tracking with me? All right, so depending on how long the bench is, it's going to determine where I set up, how I set up. I like to honestly set up in a way that I can rest my chin on top of the bench and just kind of lock my entire body into position. And then with my arms hanging straight down, I'm just going to raise them up in a Y shape with, the bench and my body being the stem of the Y. I'm hitting these for 2 to 3 sets, somewhere in that 7 to 10 rep range is what we're shooting for. From one side delt movement to the next, I'm going to head over and do a seated dumbbell lateral raise. Doesn't this seem a little redundant to do 2 different side delt isolation movements back to back? Well, it would be redundant if I wasn't hitting them in a different portion of the contractile range. So these are going to work your side delts more in a mid position versus the more shortened position with the dumbbell Y raise. A couple of cues for this. We want to make sure that as we raise our arms up, as we sweep them out is the cue that I like to use, that we do that in the scapular plane. What the hell does that mean? Just imagine the plane in front of you, in front of your shoulders. That's where you want to be with this, but just slightly. So what I like to say is keep your elbow just slightly in front of your shoulder and then your wrist just slightly in front of that elbow as you sweep that weight out to about shoulder height. That's going to put your hands in the scapular plane, and that's going to best target your side delts. Same thing for these, hitting 2 to 3 working sets in the 7 to 10 rep range. All right, I'm finally going to move on to some chest movements now, starting with a chest press machine. Now, I would normally do flat dumbbell bench press, chest press here instead of this, but in this private side, the dumbbells only go up to 100. So I opted for this machine as opposed to going to the public side, again, with the anxiety, trying to record something there with heavier dumbbells. But this machine's going to work just fine. Again, this is a shoulder focused push day, the second push day of the week. The first one is more chest focused. This one is less chest focused, more shoulder focused. So that means shoulders are going to get the priority as far as the first couple spots in the workout. So that's why this, heavier chest movement, compound movement, is pushed down in the order. Well, we're still going to hit it hard somewhere in the 6 to 9 rep range, 2 to 3 sets. Bouncing from that machine to a chest fly movement. Now, typically, I'll mix it up between a machine high to low fly or a machine incline fly or just a normal pec deck fly. But the high to low cable fly was on the agenda for today. Now, it's going to hit your entire chest, but it is going to bias more of that lower costal pec. I'm going to grab the handles on either side, come back to center, and then take like a full step forward here so that the angle of the resistance is matching the angle of those lower chest fibers. Also going to take a staggered stance to get some leverage against that weight. And from here, we're just going to start flying. Now, as I fly backwards, I'm going to bend my elbow, and it's going to be a more dramatic bend, closer to 90 degrees the further I fly backwards. That's going to ensure that tension stays on my chest. If your arms go flat when you fly backwards in any fly movement, that's going to shift the tension more to your biceps, and that's no bueno. We don't want that. So keep a bend closer to that 90-degree mark the further back you go. And as we're flying forward, I like to think about bringing the base of my palms together. And because you can look down at your chest in this position, I would look right down at it, stare it down, squeeze it. Imagine you're trying to squeeze and hold a pencil between your pecs. That's going to help with the mind-muscle connection. It's going to help with that contraction. And that's going to do it. Only 2 chest movements in this shoulder-focused push day. I'm going to move on now and hit my triceps. I'm going to start with just a standard cable press down. This movement is goated. It's not exciting, but it is incredibly effective. And it's effective at hitting all 3 of the heads that make up your tricep. Now, that's true about any tricep pressing movement, but it doesn't really have any bias. So it's going to hit all of them evenly and effectively. A couple of things for this one. Start by pulling your shoulders back. You want to keep them back and then lock those elbows in at your side with a slight flare. You don't want to tuck them in. You don't want to force them in. You don't want to let them flare out completely. Just have a natural flare in those elbows and keep your wrist on top of the bar. If you start flexing your wrist at any point during the movement, that's going to put unnecessary stress on your wrist. So you want to maintain a neutral wrist, keeping your wrist on top of the bar. Now the idea is to press down and out away from you until your arms are completely straight. You should be fully straight. Hold there for a second, half second, squeeze, flex and hold. And you know the deal. You got to control the weight on the way back down. Don't let it control you. Making a lateral move here from the press down at the cable over to what these guys are calling, I can see it on the machine, a triceps press, which is not what I would have called it. I would have called it like a Tricep Dip Machine. And you know what? That's what I'm going to continue to call it. I'm going to head over to the Tricep Dip Machine and do some tricep dips. Now this is going to be more medial and lateral head bias, but again, all of your tricep heads are going to get hit with a tricep movement. I don't got a whole lot to say about this one. Have a seat, start pressing. One thing I will say is you want to keep your elbows more tucked in. You don't want to flare your elbows out and be on top with your elbows flared out, pressing the weight down. And that's it. 2 different tricep movements at 2 hard working sets here. I'm talking about training with 0 to maybe 1 rep left in the tank, 0 to 1 rep left in reserve. And yeah, that's going to be enough. More is not more. More can equal less, actually, if you're doing too much volume. All right, going to finish this one up with some cardio. I'm going to jump on the stair stepper. This is my favorite form of cardio. I like to lean on the machine and do emails, answer the team chat, respond to clients, in any form of low intensity, steady state cardio that allows me to do that, be a little bit more productive while I'm doing that. I'm going to do that because I got a mountain of stuff to do. Now, I couldn't even record myself leaning on the machine because so many people, I'm so used to people saying, you're cheating if you're leaning on the machine. I get so triggered by that, so much so that I couldn't even record myself leaning. But I do lean on the machine, and that's fine as long as you make up for it with the pace and you're monitoring your heart rate. That's just fine. I'm going to do this for about 20 to 30 minutes, trying to maintain about 70% intensity or 70% of my max heart rate for the duration. All right, that's going to do it. A nice little shoulder push session. I'm going to head home now, get my post-workout meal in. If you try this workout out, I want to know. Drop a comment. Let me know what you thought. Also, if you're looking for a full-on program, I got you. Check the link in the description. That's going to send you to my full program in the Ladder app. And that includes new workouts every week with voiceovers from me guiding you through every workout. An app that is phenomenal, that gamifies the workouts, that keeps you consistent. Also, there is a team chat function in there where you can chat with me directly and ask me questions, which is an incredible value, I think. You can also ask other team members on the team questions. You can ask them, does the program work? The people that have been around on my program for a long time. So if you want to do that, check it out. You can try a full week completely free. You don't have to enter any credit card information. But until next time, we'll see ya.